Hello gamers, my name is Offbeat Outlaw. Crazy thing to think about today. We got a weird video today. I've been trying to figure out how to write this video for quite some time, and I think I finally figured it out. Today we're going to be talking about media literacy and why it's dead. My name is Offbeat Outlaw. I usually make Dungeons and Dragons content, and from that content, you might not actually know that you are talking to an educated man.
I'm a college man!
That is right. I am the proud owner of a honors bachelor's degree from the University of Toronto. I've got a theater and drama studies degree. What does that mean? It means I'm pretty trained in media literacy and analyzing media, specifically within the theatrical medium. But these skills I've learned apply to many areas. I've taken a number of English classes and knocked those things out of the park. I've read Shakespeare's and complete works cover to cover several times, thank you. And over the course of my time being a theater student, I had to be very well trained in media literacy if I wanted to succeed and get the honors with distinction that I graduated with. That's a 4.0, at least at my school. Yeah. Working with those in those parameters, being graduated, I realized that most people just aren't trained in media literacy. And that's, I guess, to be understood. Of course, they're not going to be as well trained as I am. I'm a goddamn theater student. I took it as a university level course for 4 years. Of course, I'm going to be pretty damn good at it. I'm going to be in that top percentile. However, what I found, the gap between what I know is vast between that of the average person. This is not something to say like, oh, I'm so much smarter than the average person. I am better at analyzing media than the average person. I think that is fair to say. It's not like people are struggling to get to the deeper concepts. It's like people are struggling to understand what things are about. Media literacy is fucking dead. And I think I know how it died. This is media literacy's post-mortem and what to do now. Disclaimer, while I used to be a student, I am no longer a student. I'm trying to get into law right now. I'm busy studying for the LSAT, but I'm no longer a student who's up to date with the most recent discourse on all of this stuff. So this is my info might be a little old. I'm basing a lot of it off of perceptions of popular things on social media. So of course I'm gonna have a biased lensing, but I do think that this biased lensing does hold some truth, at least with what I'm going to be talking about. So let's get into it. Media literacy and why it's dead. The first death. Death of the author. What does this actually mean? Death of the author is a very complicated topic. Most people on the internet will tell you that it means the author is dead, therefore we can enjoy it freely. We can enjoy the media freely without feeling bad. This to me is the most, it's a headache. It's a headache. It's an actual headache. Oh my God, it's incorrect. It's incorrect. I'm being a little bit overdramatic, of course. That's not what death of the author is about. Death of the author would be better represented as death of intent. You see, death of the author is not about the artist is dead, therefore we can enjoy it freely. Death of the author is not everyone just praying that J.K. Rowling chokes on an extra large peanut one day. Death of the author is about intent not mattering when consuming and understanding media. It doesn't matter what the author meant when they were writing the thing. It doesn't matter what they intended for the art that they were producing. What matters is audience perception of the work itself. Let's use an example that we've all heard on Tumblr. The curtains were blue. The background was purple. You know, that type of shit. It doesn't matter what the author intended the blue curtains to mean. It's up to the audience to interpret it. That is what death of the author is. There was a period of time where it mattered a lot what authors meant and what authors intended, and a great deal of effort was put into understanding what authors meant and intended. That's why this was such a paradigm shift. That's why this was so important and pervasive. Death of the author was freeing for people analyzing media. They didn't have to spend hours debating what Bertolt Brecht meant anymore. They could just say, well, what does this mean to me? And what does it mean to most people? And that's all they had to care about. That was super important. We didn't have to invent a time machine to go ask Shakespeare what he meant by the several racist things he said. We could just say they are racist. I'm not gonna debate Shakespeare here, okay? It's so fucking old. And I've read far too much of it to care at this point. But the point being, death of the author has nothing to do with them actually being fucking dead. So it doesn't matter when J.K. Rowling dies, her work is still garbage. I hate the Harry Potter books. Look, guys, I know it's very important to some of you. I think they're so bad. Anyway, that's what death of the author is. But most people don't know that. And so most people take it to mean if the author is dead, it doesn't matter at all anything. I don't even know what they take from it. I guess they think it means if the author is dead, we can just enjoy it freely, and they don't need to worry about problematic undertones, which is so incorrect. Which is so wildly incorrect. It's insane. My argument is, people don't know what death of the author means. Therefore, people don't use death of the author properly, which is a very important media tool. It's very important to understand what death of the author means so that you can actually analyze media in the context of how it's received. Let's say I'm listening to some new song that was put out by popular rap artist Megan Thee Stallion, all right? I don't need to care what she meant by anything she says. I can just take it as it is, and that's death of the author at work. I don't need to care about what she thought she meant, because that's not important to me, the listener, and it's not important to me, the media analyst. It's important to her, and if she goes into interviews, I'm sure she could always clarify what she said, but as a media analyst, it's not that important. It's important to her, and that's it. In the same vein, I don't need to care what Christopher Nolan meant by his stupid fucking movies that make no sense. I don't need to care. If I think they're dumb, I get to think that freely, and it's a valid opinion. I don't need him to clarify, oh, Inception's ending was supposed... I don't actually care what he thought Inception's ending was supposed to mean. Inception's ending was bad because it doesn't actually deal with the major themes of the entire movie. The movie isn't actually caring about what if reality isn't real. It's more about how ideas are made and the conception of ideas and the battling of ideas. That's my interpretation. I don't fucking care what Christopher Nolan thinks, and I don't care what you think really either, but that's related to the comment section. Although, please do debate me in the comment sections. I love those long threads. That's death of the author, though. That's one reason why media analyst is dead, because people aren't using this properly. People care a lot about their authors now. I think that's a symptom of celebrity culture. Celebrities being as important as they are in Western culture lends itself to authors being revived. The death of the author laid way for the birth of the celebrity. Celebrities are so important to people. We go to them to give important messages on world events. We're like, there's war happening in the world. What does Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson think about this? Why do we care what they think at all? We shouldn't be caring, but we do. We do care. I'm not blaming you, this random citizen, for feeling like you care, because it's not your fault either. You're a symptom of the culture you were brought up in. It's not your fault that you care what Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson thinks. It's the culture's fault as a whole, and we're all a part of it, so we're all complicit and to blame, but it's also not your fault. That makes any lick of sense. And because of this fact, media literacy has separated itself from the most important tool that we've had in a long time, which is death of the author. We can no longer use it because we care so much about what our celebrities / authors think. So let's get into the second reason why media literacy is dead. English class. Yup. English class. Now, I want to make this very clear. If you are an English teacher watching this, or perhaps showing your class, it is not your fault. English teachers work incredibly hard to teach the material that they are forced to teach. And they usually have a curriculum that they have to follow because they have a standardized test at the end of the year that if they want to survive and, pay bills and stay at the school where they make their livelihood, they need to make sure that the students they're teaching can pass that test. So in order to make them pass the test, they're not teaching people the skills to analyze media, they're teaching people the skills to pass the test at the end of the year, which results in bad media literacy. It's not the school's fault, but English class is the problem. English class in high school, middle school is the front line of where media literacy should be getting taught, but it isn't. Most of you can point out what a metaphor is. I don't think many of you would be able to point out what a metaphor does. in a story or what a motif does. You could certainly look at one, but could you describe how it functions and what effect it has on the story as a whole? That is very different, isn't it? At the very least, in my basic level of high school English class education, that's what I felt. I was a terrible high school English student. I was an amazing university English student. I did very well in my university English classes when I had been taught better about the tools that I needed. I was very effective at pointing out what metaphors were, what they looked like, and I saw them as argumentative tools to make a point. I didn't quite see the value that they had in an overarching story, and that's a slight different nuance. Maybe this is just my anecdotal experience talking, but I think that I can speak for at least a good portion of you that English class isn't of good value to you because it's too focused on identifying things. It's too focused on pointing things out and figuring out incredibly basic meanings from stories so that you can get a good grade on a final test. Because that's not what media literacy is actually good for. You see, in university, gone are the days of prompts. To what extent is Shakespeare's Macbeth about revenge? That's a shitty fucking essay. You would get a 75% if you presented an essay on that in university. But in high school, that's what your entire essay is about. You have to write a 75% essay and somehow get a 100% on that. Isn't that kind of fucking annoying? Isn't that bullshit? You wanna know what I wrote about Macbeth in university and I got a really good grade on that essay? I can't remember exactly what I got. I think I got like an 85 to a 90, but I wrote about how Macbeth is actually about a slow descent into hell, because as the play progresses, mentions of hell and biblical references become more and more and more prolific until the final act of the play is a near hellscape of death and blood. And I had several sources from within the book, some corroborated literary sources.
That's not how you pronounce that. But first,
and it was a pretty damn fucking good essay. And I used my media literacy skills to do it because I didn't care what Shakespeare thought his damn story was about. I was gonna write about hell. And so I did. But I couldn't have done that in high school English class. In fact, I would have gotten a 0% for not doing the essay that I was supposed to do in writing about the extent that Macbeth was about revenge. Do you see my point? I guess. English class isn't about teaching people tools that they can use to make interesting arguments and points and understand media on a deeper level to come to their own conclusions about what things are about. It's about knowing what the thing is about, pretending that's the only thing that the story's about, writing an essay claiming that this is the only thing the story's about, and then getting a good grade. This isn't how you develop media literacy. This is how you develop the computers effectively. And because of this, English class is a hotbed of where the problems begin. Because any attempts now from the teachers to try and inspire better thinking from the students is met with the curtains are just fucking blue. And now let's go to my next point. Anti-intelligence. Anti-intelligence or anti-intellectualism is a much studied thing recently. Pretty big buzzword, you could say. But anti-intellectualism and anti-intelligence has a lot of different origins. I think now, though, what I can see is, at least in media, I think I can pinpoint it to exactly one Tumblr post. The curtains were fucking blue. No. The curtains weren't blue. Weren't just blue. The curtains were representative of that particular character's sadness. He changed them to be blue. Maybe he wanted them to be a reflection of his surroundings. Maybe it was an example of how no matter what this character did, he would always be surrounded and draped by the sadness that pervaded his world, by the blue setting that he had set himself to. Every subconscious decision that this man made reinforced his own sadness, even up to the point of picking blue curtains. Maybe that's what it was about. Maybe the curtains weren't just fucking blue. But because of that damn Tumblr post, I have to see every fucking comment be, it's not that deep, bro. It ain't that deep, bro. It's not that smart, bro. Stop writing an essay. It's not that it's They weren't just blue, because once you get to higher level education, the most important lesson that you learn is that even if there's a simpler explanation, expect a more interesting one. Come to your own more interesting conclusion. If the most interesting conclusion you can make about blue curtains in a story about depression is that they were just blue, You are not capable of understanding media. They're related. Why? Because you said so. Because the author is dead. Who cares if they just put it there because they felt like it? The author doesn't matter. The author is gone. It's up to you to make the interesting statement about the media. This anti-intellectual garbage has absolutely saturated our culture. It's saturated the people and that you surround yourself with. I bet if you talk to anybody who didn't do some type of humanities in university, they will share this sentiment, and they will say that media is fucking boring as a result, and that the only thing that they maybe watch is blockbuster action movies. I'm not trying to shit on people who like these movies, okay? I like those movies too. I enjoy them. I have a great time. I love action-packed movies. I love movies with ridiculous amounts of action. One of my favorite movies of all time is a Tollywood movie called RRR. It is so action-packed and insane. The fight choreography, the cinematography, it is so over the top and brilliant. It is a fantastic representation of the excitement that you can have when you ask more of your movies, especially action movies, which shouldn't be trying to be realistic. You know, this is side tangent. I recently watched Meg 2. Meg 2 is a fucking stupid movie. It's a stupid movie for stupid people. I hate that fucking movie. We got fucking Jason Statham at the bottom of the ocean, okay? The bottom of the ocean. Not like under the water. The bottom of the ocean. This movie is trying to feign scientific relevance. Okay? This is something that Western movies will do a lot. They will try to feign scientific relevance in order to convince you that what's happening on screen is real, because they care so much that what you're seeing you think is real. They think that audiences care. They don't. I want to make that very clear. Audiences don't actually care if what they're seeing is real. They just want to make sure that it's believable in the world. But a lot of Western movies don't do this. They just want to make you think it's real. So at the bottom of the fucking ocean, I'm supposed to somehow believe, this is the sort of statement that we get in Meg 2. Jason Statham is at the bottom of the ocean, and he has to swim without a suit 25 meters. Okay? He has to swim that distance under the ocean. They were at the bottom of the Marianas Trench, stated to be about 10,000 meters below sea level. Jason Statham somehow, 10,000 meters below sea. They're like, how is he supposed to get across there? He doesn't have a suit. Their explanation is, well, there's fish down here. He just needs to breathe all of the air out of his lungs and he'll be fine. No! That's not how anything works. No! If a person with zero air in them, okay, let's assume that they're correct, that there's zero air in Jason Statham. This is a deflated Jason Statham. If we threw him into water 10,000 meters below sea level, he would be crushed into splatter. He would become giblets, because your body has an internal temperature, an internal pressure of 1 atmosphere. How many atmospheres is 10,000 meters below sea level? The pressure in the Marianas Trench exceeds 1,000 atmospheres, meaning that no matter how much air you deflate out of your Jason Statham, they would be crushed into nothing. And because the movie has made me care about the science behind it, I now have to actually check the science behind it, which means I find out the movie's bullshit, which means I think they're fucking dumb. Contrast this with RRR, that movie I mentioned earlier. There were ridiculous action sequences in this movie that I think are somewhat frankly equally impossible for a human being. But throughout the movie, they don't care. They don't try to convince you that these are real people you're looking at. You are looking at historical fiction, at fantasized versions of these people, of people beyond the strength of mortals. They are exceptional. They strike poses midair. Their hair is always perfect. Their beards, fucking immaculate. Abs sculpted by the gods themselves. And they can punch through concrete, do pull-ups for 6 months, can stop fucking motorcycles with 1 arm. And I don't give a shit, because I know that the movie knows that this is kind of bullshit, but they also know I don't care. They don't go into some explanation about this is actually possible because as long as you plant your foot and distribute the force. If they did that, I would immediately call this movie out for being fucking stupid. But they don't do that. They just go, this is an exceptional fucking person. Enjoy it. And I do. And of course, there's so many deeper things happening in RRR as well. Oh my god, what a good movie. What a good movie. If you can find the original version of the movie, like without, like, even the dub version is like pretty good. Just watch it when you get the chance. It's a fucking incredible movie. Anti-intellectualism has killed media literacy as well. Back to the main point. Because people are not willing to accept that things are the way they are because it's interesting that way. Because things are the way they are because they dared to ask, what if this was better? What if this was more interesting? What if this was more delightful? What if there was a deeper meaning? Which is a question that underpins all media analysis. I see so many people getting on the asses of people trying to find deeper meanings for shows like Adventure Time and stuff. I think people who try to find like it's actually about a coma and they're all dead and they're all like the fucking Rugrats thing where it's actually like Abigail in a coma or some shit. I think that shit's fucking stupid. That shit's just dumb as shit. No. What if the Rugrats was about the innocence of childhood and about discovery because it's a fucking kid's show? Let's do some media analysis on that. On what we're presented with. Let's dare to say that what we're looking at is interesting. Let's not imagine a fake thing. This is interesting enough. It's a bunch of babies who can talk to each other, so why don't we imagine what this is actually about? It's about the secret life of kids that adults don't understand. It's about the innocence of adventure and the innocence of discovery. About how discovery is something that is innately human. About misadventures and hijinks is something that we'll all get up to. These are some very basic claims that I know sound stupid, but it's what it can be about. Adventure Time, something that I'm watching right fucking now. It's a, first of all, amazing show, fantastic show. It's very clear, but it's what it's about. It's about the world after some sort of cataclysmic event. Who cares whether it's about World War I or World War II or about nuclear bombs, explosions, whatever the fuck that is. Who cares? It's not about that. It's about the resilience of the human spirit in an absurd world. It's about daring to be heroic in a world that is unfeeling and uncaring. It's about the resiliency of a single person, Finn, in a world that is filled with monsters and terrible things. It's about Simon, the tortured Ice King, the man who is trapped within his own body. You can make so many fucking claims about Simon. You could look at that and go, he's an allegory for mental illness. He's an allegory for feeling estranged from everyone you love. It's about feeling like you don't fit in anywhere, but desperately wanting to be. There's so many different ways you can analyze Adventure Time. I don't need to try and figure out the extra story. There's enough there already. You can do that. Ask questions about the media that you're looking at and dare to go deeper. Final point, why media literacy is dead. Reading comprehension is at an all-time low. Let's talk about it. Reading comprehension has never been lower. This is kind of actually pretty well studied. We're finding that in schools, people older and older are struggling more and more with reading comp, which is an interesting thing. I don't know what's causing that, but it is having an effect on people's media literacy. You need to be able to fucking read to understand the media that you're reading. And this is entirely separate from like dyslexia and mental illnesses like that. Reading comprehension normalized for students across the board is down, which is obviously having an effect on people's media literacy. I saw when Has Been Hotel was popular on TikTok, one of the final scenes has Alistair going after this big battle, like everyone, he looks like he gets fucking iced, he looks like he gets fucking bopped and downed and he disappears and everyone's like, oh my god, where is he? He has this moment in the final song and he goes like, Alistair, altruist, died for his friends? And he says it with this sarcastic manner, this irony, going, holy fuck, is this what people are gonna say about me? That I'm a fucking altruist? And then I go to fucking TikTok and people are like, oh my god, is that his last name? Bring it in real close. Hi. How hard were you volleyball spiked into the ground when you were 3 years old to think that? It's irony, because he's a fucking asshole the whole show. Of course he's not an altruist, and he doesn't want to be an altruist. He's a serial killing demon who likes being a murderer. He's not repentive. He's not sorry. He enjoys it. He revels in being a fucking asshole. Of course he's gonna be like, holy shit, are they gonna think I'm a good person? Oh my god, I don't wanna be a good person. And you guys think it's his last name? Because you don't know what the word altruist means? Well, in the subtitles, it was capital A. What's more likely? That the subtitles made a capitalization error and completely abused and misused the word as a result, or that the subtitles is right. You're using your one source of evidence, aka the subtitle capitalization, in order to interpret that whole sentence and scene where he is clearly distraught, talking about death, talking about his future. He's having a fucking mental breakdown. He's panicking, and you're using the capitalization as the basis of your argument? What? No! No! So reading comprehension is down. With all these things in the big old pot that is life melting together, we're left with a shit sandwich that is media literacy might just be dead. So what do we do about it? What do we do about it? If I can reach the people who do watch this video, the 6,000 to 10,000 of people who do actually click this video. I don't know how many people are going to actually click this video. Maybe there's only 1,000 of you. Maybe there's only like 10. Point being, if whoever I'm reaching, when you're consuming media, here's what I ask of you. Think about it. Ask what's deeper. Ask what it's about. Try to find the most interesting answer you can and support it with things from what you're watching. Even if it's something as simple as Adventure Time or something as deep as the Marianas Trench. It's Meg 2. Something as deep as RRR or The Irishman, I guess, or Birdman and the Unexpected Virtue of Ignorance? I can't remember what that movie was called. Whatever you're watching, whatever you're consuming, dare to ask more of the media you're consuming. And if you can't find an answer, keep trying. Maybe there isn't one, but if there is one, do your best. Media literacy is not going to revive overnight, and it might be a losing battle, but it's valuable. Try to hold on to it. Try to keep it. Ask more of the media you consume, even if you're not trained in it. Even if you got an engineering degree and you're more good at analyzing tension thresholds of materials. Ask more of the media that you consume. Because I'll tell you this much, if you're not consuming media that you can do this with, maybe look for other media. Maybe if all you consume is slop, effectively, that doesn't have any substance, maybe it's rotting your understanding of the media around you. It's like eating candy. Can't eat too much of it or your teeth will fall out. You gotta eat other things. You gotta consume other things. You can't just watch feel-good stuff. Gotta watch things that have an emotional impact on you or get you thinking, get you trying to figure out what it's about. You have to. It's important. Anyway, this has been a very different kind of video than I normally do. I hope you enjoyed it. If you didn't, I hope that you had something to take away from it. I hope this is interesting. If this was interesting and you want to see more of it, please let me know. I love talking about media and stuff. I did get my degree in theater because I love media and entertainment, and I think there's so much value to be had from literature and stuff. So please, 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 if you enjoyed this, please let me know, because it would be very validating. But otherwise, that is all. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked it a lot, check out my link to my Patreon. Get all my videos 24 hours early. It helps. The best way to support the channel. And other than that, get the fuck out of my house.